Hi, everybody. Elida Zweidler-McKay with ZM Coach, where we're all about helping you take your career to the next level. I work with mid-level professionals to prepare for and land that next promotion, whether that's in your current job or your current company or somewhere else. Today, I want to tell you a story that's going to date myself a little bit. And that is the story of when the iPhone first came out. I've been in the workforce for over 20 years at this point. And when the iPhone first came out, I had been, kind of following technology. I had flip phones, and then I had gone over to the Palm Pilot, and I had my flip phone and my Palm Pilot, and I kept wishing it were one device. And then they came out with this little bitty Palm thing that had a keyboard and it had a little screen, and you could do email and text messaging and like a little bit of data stuff in addition to having it be a phone. And there was even a little calendar on it. And I thought that was the coolest thing to finally have all my stuff in one device instead of, the planner and the phone and the email stuff on the computer and whatever. And so I was in love with this little bitty piece of technology because it worked for me. And shortly thereafter, the iPhone came out and people started getting that. Obviously there were Blackberries and other things as well that came out. The iPhone came out and I thought, I don't really need that. Like, I'm happy with what I've got. I'm good. And then the next edition of the iPhone came out and the next edition of the iPhone came out. And, no, I'm happy with what I've got. Thanks. I'm good. I'm good. And then at some point, I don't know, long about the iPhone 3 or 4 or something, I realized, you know what? I still have 20 years or 30 years left in the workforce. And if I let myself settle for the technology that I have right now, I am going to be so far behind. And I had seen that happen with my dad, who never really got onto computers. And then at some point in his career was no longer able to even get sales jobs because even the sales guys needed to use computers to input their orders and stuff. And that was just something he had never learned. So he was really far behind. But the reason I'm telling you this story today isn't about the moral of this story isn't about technology and keeping up with technology, although that is important. The part I want to get to in this conversation and in this story is that idea of thinking ahead to how many years do you have left in your career and noticing the things that you might be settling for now. With 20 or 30 years left in my career, I was already settling for technology that wasn't the cutting edge, wasn't the best. And I was doing that. I think the reason that we settle, I think there are two main reasons that we settle for what's in front of us. One is it's familiar and, kind of known territory. So it feels safe. Like I knew how to use my Palm Pilot. I knew how to make that work for me. And moving over into an iPhone meant a whole bunch of new stuff I'd have to learn and a whole bunch of new stuff I'd have to figure out. And so it was just safe and familiar and easy to stay put with the technology I had. And I think that translates into why people stay stuck in jobs that aren't really serving them anymore. Here I was with my little bitty 2-inch square screen, and I could have had a whole iPhone screen instead. But I was settling because it was familiar and it was comfortable. And I was missing out on all that extra functionality and all that extra screen space and all that extra, all of what was available to me. And I think people do that in their careers. I think they settle for what's known, even if it doesn't really quite let them spread their wings. There's so much more out there that could be available if you're in a job that doesn't quite feel like a good fit for you, or where you feel like you're not able to really grow, where there's not room for you to really contribute all the ways that you want to contribute. And that sense of staying with something because it's safe and because it's familiar, and maybe it's scary to think about, what if I don't have the skills? What if I can't figure it out moving to a new job? I think that's one of the reasons that people stay in a role that's not quite working for them. Obviously, if the job was really bad or really uncomfortable or something's really horrible about it, people are likely to move. But it's when it's kind of in the middle that folks tend to stay stuck. And I think it's that safety question is a big part of it. And then the other thing that I hear, that was true for me with that switch in technology was that it was going to be an investment, right? I had all the cords I already wanted for the Palm Pilot, I had all the places where I could plug it in and the one that lived in my bag and everything. And getting a new phone would mean not only the investment in the phone, but all the things that went with it. And I think that's the other reason that people stay stuck is that they feel like switching jobs or finding a new career or going for a promotion or looking for a different division in their company where they could maybe shine a little bit better is going to require an investment of time and energy. And the truth is, it does. I mean, it does take a certain amount of energy and time and commitment and investment to be able to find that next role that's going to be a good fit for you and to be able to move up in the ways that you want to move up. But when you have a strategy, when you have a solid plan, and maybe even a coach or a guide that can move you through that, it doesn't have to take forever. I've had clients land new jobs in 3 months, 2 months, 6 months. It's not when you think about the amount of time you have left in your career, whether that's 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, the investment of 6 months is actually not that much time, or 4 months, or whatever it's going to be. So, we build it up in our head that like, oh, it's going to be this big investment. It's going to take all this time. It might take some investment of money, and we make it this big, huge thing. But like, even if you invest, $5,000 to $10,000 in a coach, if that gets you a next level promotion, you're going to have the pay raise that goes with that for the next 10 or 20 or 30 years. So we're talking about, an overall lifetime return on investment of probably like $100,000, if not $200,000 on an investment of 5 to 10. And 10 or 20 years of doing the kind of work you want to do and moving up and feeling like you're part of something and like you're growing compared to a 4 to 6 month investment. I mean, when you really put that into perspective, it's kind of a no-brainer. Just like me moving from my little tiny, I wish I had it to show you, like my little Palm Pilot thing, all the way to an iPhone. It was crazy that I made such a big deal of that switch when really, um, keeping up with the technology and getting what I wanted, and then being able to then use that to now, grow into the current phones and all that stuff. Because technology is also like careers in that way, that you have to take that next step in order to grow into the one after that and the one after that and the one after that. And there's nothing saying you have to keep moving up if that's not what's comfortable for you. But you can't if you don't start with the first step. Like you can't leapfrog it if you haven't moved from one role to another to another. So if you've been in the same role for more than, say, 3 to 5 years and you haven't had an opportunity to expand your scope or to change your title or to move up, it's definitely time to look at what's keeping you stuck and to really get real about what that's costing you and what it really would take to make that leap to the next step. And my guess is that the investment of time and energy is not as big as you think, and certainly not big compared to the return on that investment. And my guess is that there are ways that you can do that, although it will feel uncomfortable, when you've got the strategy, you've got the guidance, you've got the support, it doesn't have to be scary. If this is something that's interesting to you, reach out to me and let's talk. We'll get on the phone for about 45 minutes and talk about where you are in your career, where you want to go. If I can help you get there, we'll talk about what that would look like. And if I'm not the right resource because of your circumstance or your situation, I will let you know that, and I'll see if I can point you to other resources. I know a lot of great coaches, and I'm happy to share to make sure you get the right resource for you. So book a call with me, zmcoach.com/apply, and let's have a conversation and see what we can do to get you unstuck, get you out of that Palm Pilot and into that shiny new iPhone or whatever the latest is now. All right, take care.